Yo, what's going on, boys? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to Destiny2 video. Now in today's video, we're going to be going over a build for the Grandmaster Knife for this week. This build is pretty much designed so you can pretty much deal with everything the knife throws at you, and basically always get that completion, whether it's for the weapon or just for the Conqueror title. Now this week is definitely a little bit interesting. I expected a knife that we hadn't seen before, but instead when the reset hit, we ended up in Fallen SABER, which we have already had. Fallen SABER actually like 2-3 weeks ago. Not even that long we actually had Fallen SABER, and I'm not really sure why. I'm not sure if it's a glitch or if just the way that the rotations or the GM rotations are happening now with the episodes, because I did see someone on Twitter talk about that. So I'm not really sure what's going on, but we're still making the build for this week's Nightfall. We're keeping it safe though, in case it gets changed halfway through the week, and if that does happen, we'll make another build video, I suppose. Now the main things that you're gonna need for this build are gonna be the Graviton Lance, even though I know it's glitch. I'm gonna talk about that in a second. And also the Orus Rigs. Like I said, we're playing it very safe. And as long as you have these two things, this build is gonna work. And you're basically gonna be able to carry anybody through the Grandmaster this week. So let's get into it. First we gotta start with the weapons. And let's start with our main one. Now our first weapon is gonna be the Graviton Lance. And I'm gonna keep this short since we talked about the Graviton Lance many times before. It's going to be great against champions, even better against ads, and it can even give you over shields and also do more damage against champions with this catalyst. So yeah, the Graviton Lance is just going to be the go-to. There's a lot of places in this GM where a lot of like ads bunch up, and then just killing one enemy can lead to a whole chain of explosions. It is currently glitched after the latest update, so it is actually like shooting slower. And call me crazy, but it kind of feels like the Graviton used to be before, when it used to be like a 3-burst pulse rifle. But even in its glitch form where it's shooting a little slower, it is still just an amazing weapon. Now for your special weapon, you definitely want a choke clip fusion rifle. It's gonna be able to deal with overloads by slowing them, so you're gonna be able to stun them with your fusion rifle. And also fusion rifles are the overcharged weapon, meaning that every fusion rifle is gonna be doing extra damage, so we definitely want to take advantage of that. It doesn't really have to be the Riptide. I like the Riptide since it's easy to focus with some Crucible engrams, but as long as you have choke clip on anything, it'll be pretty okay. And lastly, for the heavy weapon, I would just recommend a Solar or Void Rocket. Once again, I use my Fate Keeper because, you know, it's a new weapon and I actually really love it. It's just a really good rocket. So this is going to be pretty good in the GMs since it's going to be doing a little bit extra damage thanks to the surges. It's fantastic for taking out champions, so if you guys haven't given this a try, definitely do. Now for the super, we're gonna be on the tether. There's a lot of small rooms where there's a lot of ads to bunch up, and they basically just keep getting tethered over and over again. There's a couple of places in this GM where the tether gets a ridiculous amount of value. Like enemies will just keep running into it, so the tether is gonna be fantastic. And thanks to our exotic, we're basically gonna get half of it back every single time, so we're gonna be able to spam it every time we need it. Now for our melee and our grenade, we're gonna have the stasis ones, the Withering Blade and the Dust Field, because of the value we just get out of them when we're going up against overloads, and also because they're gonna build up our darkness meter really quickly, especially the Dust Field. Now moving on to the aspects, the first one is gonna be the Ascension aspect. Whenever we use our class ability in the air, we're gonna be jolting enemies around us and also gaining Amplified, and thanks to the Galvanic Armor seasonal mod, it also grants us 30% damage resistance, used for free for being amplified. And we can pretty much just be constantly amplified with this build, meaning that we're always going to have that 30% damage reduction. Ascension use kind of continues to be one of the best aspects this season. If you're doing any endgame content, I definitely recommend Ascension. Now for the second aspect, I'm going to do something that I haven't done in any of my builds, but you could pretty much run any secondary aspect that you want. It really is not going to matter. I didn't even notice that I had Threaded Spectre with Ascension for a couple of GM runs. Meaning that basically one of my fragments wasn't doing anything at all. Because whenever I activate Ascension, it doesn't spawn a Spectre. So that pretty much kind of proved that you could run this with any other aspect on the secondary slot. But I would definitely recommend Stylus Executioner or Gunpowder Gamble, since those actually do something. Unlike Winter Shroud and Threaded Spectre. Those just won't work with Ascension. Now moving on to the fragments, the first one we're going to have is going to be the Facet of Hope, While we have an elemental buff, like always being amplified, we're gonna get our class ability back more quickly. And this basically is what's gonna make us be amplified just all the time. I only have 50 mobility, and even that is enough to be able to just constantly be amplified thanks to the Facet of Hope. After that, we're gonna have the Facet of Purpose. Whenever we pick up Orus Power, we're gonna get an Overshield. The Overshield is gonna be pretty good. It's gonna give us a bit of extra damage reduction on top of everything, so we're gonna be able to tank even more damage. After that, we're gonna have the Facet of Dawn. Whenever we hit something with a power melee, it's gonna make us radiant. This is basically just free damage for our weapons, especially considering our melee is gonna come back really quickly since we're wearing the Withering Blade. After that, we're gonna have the Facet of Balance. Rapidly defeating targets with light damage or darkness damage will give us back melee or grenade energy. And this is one of the reasons why we're gonna get back so much melee energy, because we're gonna be doing a ton of just light damage with our tether, with our graviton. So we're always gonna be getting back some melee energy, so that works very well with the Facet of Dawn. And the last one we're gonna be recommending is gonna be the Facet of Protection. Whenever we're surrounded by combatants, we are more resistant to damage. That's just 15% extra damage reduction on top of everything, and whenever we transcend, it goes up to 25% extra damage reduction. So this is just gonna keep you alive, especially in those tight corridors, those small rooms with a bunch of bats. That's when you want Facet of Protection, and this strike has a lot of that. Some of you guys will pretty much just stop here if you went with Stylist Executioner, but if you went with Gunpowder Gamble, then you could also put on the Facet of Sacrifice. This will make it so whenever we're amplified, which is all the time, any ability Final Blows will grant us bonus Darkness Transcendence energy. So this is gonna build Transcendence a little bit faster, although our Fusion Rifle, just on its own, is gonna be able to do that really quickly, but this is even more Transcendence energy, so you can spam it even more. Now for Exotic, we of course have the Orus Rig, which is gonna give us ability energy whenever we tether something. This is gonna give us half our super back, pretty much every single time whenever we shoot at a group of ads. So every time you see a group of ads, especially if there's a champion involved, definitely just fire off your tether. You're gonna be getting it back really quickly, so don't hold on to it. Just shoot it out there, help out with the ads, and you're also gonna be helping your teammates by giving them Orus for power, meaning that they can spam their supers as well. This is also gonna give you some energy to your grenade and your melee whenever you tether stuff. So not only are you gonna be getting back your super, but also your melee and grenade energy. So all around, this thing is just gonna be fantastic, and you should definitely spam it. Now let's move on and actually talk about the mods for a little bit. We're going to be starting off here with the helmet, and we have a Heavy Ammo Finder, a Harmonic Siphon, and a Radiant Light. Basically so we can make orbs with our Graviton, and also so we can always have rocket ammo whenever we need it against those champions, since that's pretty much like the only thing that we're going to be using the rocket ammo on, mostly the champions. Now for our gauntlets, we're going to have Momentum Transfer, Focusing Strike, and Harmonic Loader. This is for both our rocket and for our graviton. Focusing Strike is so we can get our class ability back a little faster, and Momentum Transfer is so we can get our grenade back a little faster. Now for our chest piece, I have a triple arc resistance since it is arc threat and the majority of the things do arc, but you could also do like 2 arc plus solar, because there's a couple of captains that do solar damage, and if they get close enough, they are definitely gonna mess you up. So I think this is probably the more optimal way of putting your resistance mods, putting 2 arc and a solar. Now for our boots, we're gonna have Absolution, a Void Scabby, and a Recuperation mod. This is gonna give us health whenever we pick up some orbs. Absolution is gonna give us ability energy to all our abilities, and lastly Void Scabby is just so we can get more ammo from those scavenger drops. And lastly for our class item, first we have Proximity Ward and Empower Finish. So whenever we finish something, we get an overshield, and we also get an armor charge from finishing that thing. And then Utility Kickstart is pretty much what we're going to be using our armor charges on. Whenever we use our class ability, we immediately get class ability energy back. Now for the mods on the artifact, we are running Creep and Chill, Press the Advantage, Counter Energy, Radiant Orbs, Galvanic Armor, and then Transference and Shield Crush. They're basically going to make so we get our abilities back faster. They make our grenade do extra damage, although that doesn't really affect the dust field. And they also are going to give us that big 30% damage increase from Galvanic Armor. This is a must-have. You cannot skip out on Galvanic Armor. You'll definitely feel it if you don't have it. I actually really like Creep and Chill, since we're using that Chill Clip Fusion Rifle. Since whenever we do get a kill with it, it makes that burst that slows things around it. And it does change quite a bit, so if you like kill something that got hit by the burst, it will make another burst and hit more things around it. But with that, that's going to be the end of the build. You guys have the full build. We kept it pretty safe in case one of you actually does decide to like change the rifle. But if you guys want to use this build, I'll make sure to leave a link in the comments and in the description below so you guys can equip it. And afterwards, you can come back here and tell me what you guys thought of it. Although, I'm sure you guys have seen this build before, because I think we made builds pretty similar to this one before for this series. I don't think it was for this rifle, because I think we did ignitions in this rifle. But it was definitely one recently, because I remember using the Graviton with the tether. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. I have no idea what's happening. I don't know if we're just starting a new like knife rotation or what it is. I don't think Bungie has said anything on it, so maybe that's just like the rotation of the rifles now. You would think that if it was like wrong or glitch, they would say something about it, but they haven't really said anything, so who really knows. But regardless, I appreciate everyone always stopping by and watching these videos. It means the world to me, and the support has been fantastic like this last 1 to 2 months. It's been ridiculous. So thank you so much. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care everyone. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.